Forging IT. Forging IT security experts. Secure Ninja.
I'm here speaking with Dave Graham. He's the Vice President of OWL Computing Technologies Incorporated. Dave, we want to talk to you about a hot topic today, which is cyber warfare. What is it and why is it so important?
Very good. It is a very hot topic. The rise of the nation states' interest in attacking networks has been dramatic in the last few years. In addition to the terrorists have now viewed that as a way to attack their adversaries, primarily the United States, without having to leave the comfort of their own home. So the U.S. government and the Department of Homeland Security are mounting great efforts to try to further secure our networks to protect against these attacks because they can have devastating effects.
Can you give us an example of a specific attack?
Well, yes, I can. Probably the most famous is the Stuxnet virus that was introduced into the Iranian nuclear facilities. That was a very sophisticated attack. I won't get into the background of it, but it basically woke everybody up to the reality that these attacks can take place, and they can come from two directions primarily. They can come off of the network into your systems, or they can be walked in by somebody bringing in a removable media like a DVD player, or a disc, or a USB thumb drive. So both of those threats have to be mitigated in order to prevent these kinds of attacks.
And is it true that Stuxnet was actually transported on a thumb drive?
Yeah, it's our understanding, at least my understanding, that the initial introduction of that was through a thumb drive, but then it proliferated itself. It was very sophisticated, so it was able to transfer amongst network to network to network, and it was able to finally wind up, it knew where it was going. It had an address in it, if you will,
right,
to know where it had to eventually wind up. It went to a lot of different places, and they found it in multiple facilities, but there was actually primarily one target for it.
Right, and the fear now is that from Stuxnet, other codes can be generated to do similar damage in different systems.
Yeah, exactly. You always get the copycats. That's what happens. People will now develop other tools to try to attack. We know that the adversarial nation states and terrorists are working on these things. They're trying to introduce them right now. And I would say there's many times they already have things in place in some facilities, and at the right time they'll activate them. So not only do you have to prepare for the future attacks, you have to go back and look at your existing networks to make sure there's not something buried in your network right now
that you don't know about.
Right, exactly.
So what is OWL Computing Technologies doing to prevent these sorts of attacks?
Okay. Well, OWL Computing is a company that's been around a little over 10 years. Our fundamental technology is network security technology. It isolates your network and establishes a method of moving information into or out of the network in a secure manner. So the primary use of it in the energy and utilities market, for example, is to move information out of the process control networks into their engineering and corporate networks, and it's primarily a one-way flow. And our technology prevents any attacks coming back up through that network connection, since it's a one-way flow. The security's in hardware, it can't be changed, it's not subject to software attack.
Right.
I had a recent DIA security analyst say, well, the OWL, it's unhackable,
Nice.
which is a nice compliment. And in fact, since the security is in hardware, it cannot be changed as a result of a network attack. Now, that doesn't solve the people walking in with a thumb drive. Other procedures have to be put in place to deal with that. So what needs to happen in the energy utility sector is that they need to basically ban all removable media from coming into their critical network areas, and devise techniques to bring information in over a network portal that we can provide that entry point also, because we have all the filtering tools to make sure that no viruses or nothing is introduced in the network. And you go through an approval process to introduce whatever you need to bring in, an update to your operating system, new applications, and that way they have both outbound protected and inbound protected, and then they're in pretty good shape. That doesn't mean they still don't need to be periodically scanning their networks to make sure there's not something going on in their networks that shouldn't be going on.
Right.
Secure Ninja Shorts are brought to you by SecureNinja.com.
a world leader in information security and IT training and certification. Our master instructors will help build you into a highly skilled and marketable security professional. SecureNinja.com, forging IT security experts.